The radical left has taken over the Democratic Party.
Hello and welcome to Think Progressively, covering politics and all the other chaos life has to offer. This is episode 93, recorded on Sunday. Yeah, we're a little late. Deal with it.
You won't notice.
June 18th from Milwaukee. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jason.
And on today's episode, we reveal the secret Biden bribery tapes that they don't want you to hear. But first, the headlines.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Happy Father's Day, Joe.
Happy Father's Day.
And happy Juneteenth Day tomorrow.
Yep, from two non-fathers and white guys.
Very appropriate holidays for us to be celebrating. First up in the headlines, very inappropriate for Pride Month, as we are still in the middle of. We have a story out of Kelowna, British Columbia. A 9-year-old girl was verbally assaulted at a track meet after being accused of being transgender.
Oh, cool. So this is what we're doing now.
Yep, just straight up like hate crimes to children.
But you know, I specifically remember that all of the conservatives that we called out before about this said that their rhetoric wouldn't lead to any type of violence or hate crimes or any type of like harassment of people.
It's just about ideology.
It's about love, if I remember correctly.
Well, in this alleged incident, the grandfather,
of course,
of another participant,
an old boomer,
allegedly complained that this was supposed to be an all-girls event and that a boy should not be allowed to compete. His side of the story is that he asked one of the officials privately if it was a co-ed event or if it was all girls.
Okay.
And that, quote from him, "As I was walking away from the official, a woman saying I'm her mother, and she was yelling and swearing at me and offering if I want to see the girl naked or if I want to see her genitals." So if he went up to an official privately to just calmly discuss what the nature of the event was and not screamed that there was a boy competing, as other people are alleging, as the mothers of this girl are alleging, how would they have known? How would they have heard it?
I feel like there's a couple of holes in this story.
So clearly he was at least making these accusations loud enough for them to hear.
Well, this also kind of reminds me of like the typical Christian trope where they say, well, I was just praying quietly by myself and it just so happened that all these people came and heard me and joined me.
Right.
No, you were shouting from the top of your lungs in a crowd.
And what is not under dispute is that this guy asked for certification that the girl was born female.
What?
According to him, after one of the mothers of the girl was yelling at him and asking, what do you want? Will you want to see your genitals? Is that he said, and this is from him, "No, the certificate is okay. That's all I said."
What audacity does this guy have to think that he can just run around and ask for like other people's birth certificates?
Right.
To confirm their gender and sex. What is happening?
And the other girl's mother said that the man's wife then started calling her a genital mutilator, a groomer, and a pedophile.
I'm not shocked.
Not at all. And not that it matters at all, but the girl in question is a cisgender girl, assigned female at birth, however you want to say it, but happens to have a short pixie haircut.
Oh, cool.
So that's what they were basing this off of.
Are you serious?
Yeah, apparently.
Are you serious right now?
What else would there have been, right? We're not talking about any actual, like, what evidence would they have had to make these accusations?
Oh, my God.
But she has a short haircut.
Oh, my God.
And two moms, which I think definitely played into it. But yes, that is unfortunate. And this is in Canada. They're supposed to be like our nicer, kinder neighbors to the north.
Ugh, dude, this is so gross.
And just to show like what effect this had, we also have a quote from the mothers. "This has destroyed our beautiful daughter's confidence. She was inconsolably crying during this whole event and continued once it was over and we were leaving. Not to mention she was unable to concentrate on her track and field finals and the shot put throw for which she had qualified."
Right.
And man, fourth graders doing shot put. This must be a pretty nice school.
Right.
Up in Canada. But unfortunately, they have some bigoted grandparents.
Now, again, this isn't the same country. I'm going back to the United States, but I mean, this is why
We are definitely exporting our hate.
Well, right. But this is why the ACLU clarified as a state of emergency for LGBTQ people, especially in southern states. The rhetoric that right-wing and conservative influencers have will cause real damage. And I think this is a perfect example of the cascading effect of what that does. Trickle-down hate, if you want to put it in a way they can understand.
Ronald Reagan would be proud.
I'm so angry, Jason. This was the first. Why was this the first one? I'm already very angry.
Well, we had the feel-good episode last week,
Oh.
so go ahead and put a damper on that right away.
Well, let's get angrier with our next story. Kind of. Half angry. Biden has recently vetoed a bill to cancel his student debt relief plan. This was a Republican bill attempting to overturn Biden's student debt relief plan and was recently vetoed by President Biden after passing both the House and Senate. It passed the House by a 218 to 203 vote along party lines, and it passed the Senate 52 to 46. Now, passing the House may not come as a surprise since the GOP controls the House, but you may be wondering, if Democrats controlled the Senate, how would they pass such a thing?
And who were the two people that didn't vote?
That's because 3, I guess, non-Republicans now? Because
Semi-Republican?
one of them's an independent now?
Right.
Voted for the bill. We have, of course, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, and then John Tester. And I just wanted to read these statements they put out in favor of these bills. Are you ready, Jason?
Yeah.
Are you ready to be upset? This is from Joe Manchin after he voted for the bill to cancel Biden's student debt relief plan. Today, I voted to repeal the Biden administration's student loan cancellation proposal because we simply cannot afford to add another $400 billion to the national debt. There are already more than 50 existing student loan repayment and forgiveness programs aimed at attracting individuals to vital service jobs such as teachers, healthcare workers, and public servants. The Biden proposal undermines the programs and forces hardworking taxpayers who already paid off their loans or did not go to college to shoulder the cost.
No, it doesn't.
Instead, we should be focusing on bipartisan student debt reforms that reduce the cost of higher education to help all Americans.
Okay, let's do both.
Literally, let's do both.
And we know that the bill to reduce the cost of higher education, where is it?
I'm waiting.
Yeah, what is your proposed plan, Joe? We're waiting for it.
Don't ask me. You're not asking me.
And not Joe Biden. And it's a really common name. You should really look into changing that.
Joe is a very common straight white guy cultural name. I will not avoid my culture for you. And I'm so freaking sick of Joe Manchin always haphazardly bringing up the debt every single time it's against something that Democrats want. He doesn't talk about the debt when we talk about pushing for tax cuts and tax incentives for coal plants.
Right.
He doesn't talk about the debt when we push tax cuts for the richest Americans.
Right. When he talks about subsidizing his coal plant that he owns and has gotten rich off of, that's fine. That's just business. That's good for the economy. But giving 43 million Americans $10,000 to $20,000 in debt relief? No, that's just a burden on the rest of us, even though that money is owed to the federal government.
Yep.
So it would literally just come off the books.
And we know that doing this would boost the hell out of our economy.
Mm-hmm. And education should be free.
Yes.
It would be the biggest thing to boost our economy that you could ever do, is giving people access to higher education for free.
Exactly. And I'll even give people the benefit of the doubt, Jason. Let's not even go fully free, right? It should at least be heavily subsidized. We want free. We know we'll probably never get free, but do something to subsidize the majority of the cost because they're going up constantly and exponentially where people can't afford it anymore.
And much higher than the salaries. So it's impossible to pay for. All of these people complaining about it went to college when you could easily pay for your college on a part-time job.
Yep.
Can't anymore. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's hear from Hot Topic Wine Mom, Kirsten Sinema.
Hot Topic Wine Mom. Now, I just took this directly from another article quoting her statement because I thought this little interlude was great. From the article, like many Arizonans, education was my key to opportunity, said Sinema, who carried student loan debt when she joined Congress. Arizonans expect and deserve lasting solutions that tackle the underlying problem of higher education costs.
So what Kirsten Sinema, I think, would want everyone to do is to just get lobbyists and corporate donors to pay for your student loans. Because that's what she did.
Because that's what we all did, guys. We all have access to that. That's our bootstraps. She goes on to say, the president's student loan forgiveness plan, fueled by politics and not reality.
Why? What? Fueled by politics. You are a politician. We are talking about politics. Anything that we want the government to do is by definition politics. and not reality. Is it not reality that 43 million Americans have student debt that they can't pay? Like, is that not reality?
That's not her reality.
This is just abstract, theoretical debt that people are carrying.
It is unfair to hardworking Arizonans who have responsibly paid their student loans, creates false expectations, and undermines Arizona students' economic certainty.
How? How does it undermine Arizona students' economic certainty?
What undermines their economic certainty is the student debt they have. Are you serious?
So, talk about not reality. And she is, of course, now an independent, as she has left the Democratic Party. She still caucuses with them, but to basically express how much of a unique centrist that she is, she has made that decision. And then, obviously, John Tester, who is a Democrat from Montana.
Yep.
So much like Joe Manchin, would not be elected if he wasn't basically a Republican in everything except name. Echoing Cinema, Tester said that he is aware of the struggles that people in his state face when trying to repay the high cost of student loans, but he doesn't want to do anything about it, but added that he doesn't support making taxpayers, quote, cover the tab while failing to fix the root causes of the ongoing problem.
What's the root causes, John?
And where's your plan to fix it? Again, let's just do both. We're acknowledging that the system is not fair, that the cost is too high, and it saddles people with too much debt. We're all acknowledging that.
I think we'd also acknowledge the fact that Biden's student debt relief plan is also a Band-Aid.
Right, and doesn't fix the underlying problems.
Correct.
Yes, like, no, we need to do both. We need to both cancel the existing student debt because it was from an unfair system that was broken, and then fix that system so that people in the future don't have to go through the same things.
And need I remind you that it's literally people like these three that are getting in the way of these types of solutions from happening in the first place. Do you really think that Manchin, Cinema, and Tester would actually sign on and fully endorse an actual student debt reformation?
No, they would do what they've always done and come up with some reason why it's not feasible, why, we just can't afford this right now.
Well, Manchin will just talk about the debt over and over again.
And again, where's these plans that they keep talking about? We need to fix the real problems here. Agreed.
Well, and I'm sick of the bipartisan crap, too. You know the Republicans hate public universities. What bipartisan thing are they going to have that helps them subsidize the cost of these public universities?
Right. The people that they are working to help in Washington don't have problems paying for their education and their kids' education and their grandkids' educations. You just go to your good friend Harlan Crow, the billionaire, and you get him to pay for your nephew's tuition, and that's problem solved. There's no need to involve the government. And in fact, really, the government shouldn't know anything about it, if we're being honest. And if you want to know more of our thoughts on this topic, we have an entire episode of if we should cancel a student debt.
You should listen to it. It's good. We did a lot of work for that episode. Let's move to religion. The year is 2023.
The year of our Lord.
And the Southern Baptist Convention has met once again to figure out the policies of, the largely independent Baptist churches that are supposed to not be governed by a unifying governmental body. So the governmental body that's trying to unify them voted on the issues of the day. And they voted explicitly to keep the expulsions of two churches, the Saddleback Church of California and the Fern Creek Church of Kentucky. Why would they be expelled, you may ask? Was it because of the rampant sex abuse that we see in many Baptist churches today? Was it because of the cruel misogyny and bigotry from the pulpit? Or maybe just outright harassment of LGBTQ people? No, it was because they allowed women to be pastors.
Well, I don't know if you've read 2 Timothy, Joe.
I'm not kidding. The convention overwhelmingly voted that both churches needed to be expelled because the Bible forbids women from leading churches, like Jason said. They're not wrong.
It says lots of stuff, though, that we ignore, so.
During the floor debate, Linda Poplin, the pastor of Fern Creek Church, said, quote, "We have a faith and practice that identifies more closely with the Baptist faith and message than many other Southern Baptist churches, and I am personally more conservative than the most Southern Baptist pastors I know." Not the flex you think it is, Linda.
No. I actually hate women too, but I can't transition because that would be evil as well.
And not only did the convention vote overwhelmingly to uphold these expulsions for, again, having women as pastors, they also voted to literally change their constitution that states the SBC affirms and appoints or employs only men as any kind of pastor or elder, and the office of pastor is limited to men as qualified by scripture. We are in the year 2023, and people are shocked that young people are leaving churches at exponential rates. This is why.
Well, you see the same issues echoed in the United States government, where conservatives want to defer to the ideas and personalities of 250 years ago by saying, "Oh, what would George Washington say about that?" You get the same thing here. Just we're going back 2,000 years by saying, "Well, what would Jesus say? What would Paul say?" And the answer, who cares? They're dead. They've been dead if they ever existed at all. It doesn't matter. Who cares what was written in a book 2,000 years ago when women weren't considered people, couldn't own property, couldn't do any of the things that as a modern society we have advanced to. And by the way, a candidate for Fox in the Head, which did not make it, the other day, Michael Knowles said that we should go back to the values of 1220.
What?
Yes, he said that going back to the 1950s is not far enough. He wants to go back to 1220. I don't know why he wants like feudal monarchies, but apparently that's what he wants. That's the same attitude that we get from all forms of conservatism, whether it's governmental or religious.
Well, and when people try to say, I want to go back to a Christian nation and have Christian values, this is what they're talking about. And even if they don't think this is what they're talking about, this is actually what they're talking about. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to push fundamentalist Christian doctrine as rule, this is what you get.
Church, not even once.
I love that. Let's go back to Wisconsin and let's stop complaining about Republicans and start going back to complaining about Democrats. If you guys remember, we talked about Wisconsin's shared revenue debacle that was happening because Republicans were pushing crazy things to inhibit the city of Milwaukee, the biggest city in the state. Well, we found out that the governor, Tony Evers, who is a Democrat, and Republicans have come to a new deal. What's in that deal, you may ask? That now includes Milwaukee and Milwaukee County will no longer need a referendum to increase their sales tax to avoid insolvency because Milwaukee is on the brink of going bankrupt.
Because the legislature is withholding billions of dollars in funding because they don't want to give the Democratic twice elected governor, Tony Evers, control of that money.
Correct. Now it can be done by a 2/3 vote of the local boards, which I won't bore you with the boring local politics. In addition, Tony Evers got $1 billion in added school funding, approximately $325 per pupil. He also got $50 million in literacy programs, $30 million in school mental health programs, 30% increases of reimbursement for special education.
Which still keeps it under the charter schools and voucher program funding, by the way.
Well, I'll get there. And when you thought that Tony Evers was on a roll and nothing can stop him, there's also the largest expansion in school vouchers in our program's history.
And to find out exactly what we think about that, you can see our school choice episode from a couple weeks ago.
To the outrage of many public school choice advocates, this was a bill introduced by Robin Voss last week as AB 305. Under this bill, payments would increase funding for children who go to school voucher programs from $8,399 to $9,500 per K-8 student and from $9,045 to $12,000 per high school student, an 18 and 30% increase in funding. Robin Voss, the Assembly Majority Leader, who's one of the most diabolical Republicans in our state, claimed it would add more than 20,000 available seats in private schools through the school choice program, a 40% increase. And of course, Republicans have been going crazy for the last week, saying how Tony Evers, the public education governor, saved Wisconsin's school choice program.
And it's done nothing, but as we've talked about in the school choice episode, the school choice program in Wisconsin is one of the oldest, really the oldest voucher program in the entire country, and has done nothing but increase every year since it's been created. It is no way under any threat and has just gotten one of the largest increases it has ever gotten.
Well, and not just in our state, but in the entire country.
Mm-hmm. And it was not in peril at all. So them saying, he saved the school choice program. The school choice program is already an out-of-control monster eating public schools in the state of Wisconsin.
So I'm pissed, Jason. I don't know about you, but I'm pissed.
We did a whole episode.
that our Democratic former state superintendent, public school advocate governor just shot public schools right in the face to give Republicans the biggest improvement to school vouchers, which he knows will damage our state's education.
He Dick Cheney'd the public school system.
I'm actually going to start using that from now on. And what's even worse is that there are many problems with the things that I told you that are supposedly good and the governor is touting. So for example, that $1 billion that goes into the state's total education funds, that goes into the entire state's education funds, which means voucher programs will also get a percentage of that money as well. So already with this increase, that $1 billion is also helping voucher schools and private schools additionally to that. Other reports also found that the $325 per pupil funding won't even keep up with the rate of inflation, which means that public schools will still be struggling,
as always,
to keep up with costs.
And of course, Milwaukee, being the largest city, has the most problems because they have the most students in their system. And a lot of this funding outside of this is based on property taxes. Property taxes in the city of Milwaukee are lower than in the affluent suburbs. So you get less funding per student anyway. So it's just a compounding problem. This did not fix that at all.
Nope.
And all it did was increase all of this funding going to private religious schools.
And like Jason said, that 30% increase of reimbursement for special education, that's good. Okay, great. But our states reimburse private schools up to 90% for their special education costs. So we're not even close to, again, I can't reiterate this enough. Our public schools have a significantly lower reimbursement rate than our private schools through our state program. That's insane. And finally, let's talk about the mental health stuff, right? Because we got increases in mental health programs. Well, 28 school districts throughout the state can't even access those extra funds for mental health because state law prevents them from receiving additional funds until they try and fail to pass a funding referendum. So they have to literally try to fund it on their own first. And then if they fail after spending all those hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that referendum going, then they can apply for the pittance of the $30 million for their mental health programs. What a garbage freaking deal. Good job, Tony. You are single-handedly destroying our state's education. Good job for the public school governor of Wisconsin.
And for our last headline of the day, we'll go back to national news. Another headline that was briefly in the Foxed in the Head list and was bumped out, but I still wanted to talk about it.
Let's talk about it. I got to talk a lot, so it's your turn.
Fox News displayed a chyron, the banner at the bottom of the screen, calling President Biden a wannabe dictator.
A wannabe dictator?
Yes.
Like he wants to be when he's just not good at it.
The banner read, "Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested."
Oh, so it's this crap.
And this was between the former Tucker Carlson time slot, which I believe was Brian Kilmeade on this day, and Sean Hannity. It was at 8:59 p.m. Fox ran this chyron. And also, leading into it...
But I'm sure the coverage was fair and balanced, though, right?
Oh, yeah. It's very fair and balanced. And leading into it, Brian Kilmeade referred to Donald Trump as the President of the United States.
Cool.
To announce his speech at the Bedminster Club in New Jersey, which Fox was carrying live. There was, as you would expect, some uproar about this, the largest cable news network calling the President of the United States a wannabe dictator. A spokeswoman for Fox News said, "The chyron was taken down immediately and was addressed."
Was it, though?
And she added that Mr. Kilmeade's comment was an unintentional mistake.
Was it, though?
While it was taken down in the broadcast, they rebroadcast the repeat of the primetime shows later on in the night, and the chyron was in there as well.
Oh, cool.
So must not have been that big of a deal or that big of a panic to get rid of it. And we have a quote from Tucker Carlson on his Twitter show.
Which is doing really well, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's doing great. But why were they angry if the banner on Fox was false? Why the hysteria? Lies don't seem to bother anyone anymore. If some cable news producer had called Joe Biden a genius or accused him of being secretly Sudanese, would anyone be yelling about it?
Secretly Sudanese?
That's what he came up. And yes, if a Fox News banner said that President Joe Biden was secretly Sudanese, people would complain about that as well.
Well, and that really brings up like a lot of birtherism stuff for me. So I'm wondering if that's what triggered in his head as well. Because I'm sure he lied a ton about the whole Barack Obama birtherism crap.
Right. And if they had a banner calling Joe Biden a genius, Tucker Carlson would have lost his mind.
Yep.
And why is Tucker Carlson so interested in this? Why would he even talk about Fox News? He's still currently in a lawsuit. Fox News put a cease and desist against him for even doing his show. Well, Fox News producer Alexander McCaskill is the one believed to be responsible for the chyron. He resigned, according to reports, and McCaskill also was the managing editor for Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's why Tucker Carlson felt the need to chime in, because it's his old buddy that was the one who did it.
Perfect.
So yes, there is your fair and balanced network. Fox News. Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested. And that's what you'll see. And our main topic might talk a lot about that. But that is the strategy right now of conservatives, saying that Joe Biden's administration is just like China and Russia. Anyone who speaks out against it, they'll throw in the gulag.
Yep.
When you commit crimes openly and are given an opportunity to fix that with no repercussions whatsoever, and you instead hide the evidence and say that you did nothing wrong, even if you're a former president, you're going to be held responsible.
M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous. Until the moment you wouldn't want to have a drink with any one of them. That's the goal. When you're totally turned off, they've won.
Boy, ain't right.
On Foxed in the Head this week. Joe, you've got a story.
I do.
Close to your own millennial heart.
You know, nothing triggers me more as a millennial than people trying to call out how lazy and entitled millennials and young people are. Do you remember
and
all
you're
that?
not even that young anymore.
No,
but some millennials are in their 40s.
But do you remember all that discourse that happened, like it will say in the early 2010s and like mid 2010s?
Oh yeah, I am a Gen Xer. I'm on the very edge of that, so I'm close to being a millennial, but not quite. We always get left out of this. It always seems to be like boomers versus millennials, and it's like this big fight, and like, oh, you're lazy, oh, you had everything handed to you, and we just kind of get to sit it out and watch. But yes, it's been for, I think, longer, at least the last 20 years.
Yeah, I'd say so.
People just constantly complaining about millennials, and now they're still doing it and talking like they're children, when again, you're in their 30s and 40s.
So this is from Fox News' show Outnumbered, which I hate that. How can you say you are a fair and balanced news network instead of a propaganda network that literally has the name Outnumbered as one of your news segments? Sorry, I'm just losing my mind here. I hate that. And no one calls it out. It just makes me really angry. On Outnumbered, the hosts were talking about a news survey that was done saying how millennials and Gen Z workers were calling out the boomers' annoying work habits. And this could be anything along the lines of making excuses to have toxic work environments, making them work long hours when they don't need to be, refusing people to work remotely or work hybrid. And these people had a discussion about it. It wasn't all crazy, I'm going to be fully honest.
Right. Well, a lot of these, there's a 5-person panel here, and 4 of which are younger women that are all either millennials or Gen Z themselves.
Well, okay, let's start with that too. I don't remember her name, and I don't care enough to find out. The one Gen Z, or the self-identified Gen Z, are on the panel.
I looked it up earlier. Something McGee White. I can't remember her first name.
I don't know. Whatever. Right. It doesn't matter. She's another blonde woman on Fox.
Right. Sure, she'd be getting a lot of settlement money in a sexual harassment lawsuit at some point.
So while the discussion was going on, she had the first crazy thing that just really triggered the hell out of me, where she was saying, well, as a Gen Zer, we are super lazy and entitled. I totally get it. I'm not going to make any defense of my generation. We are awful people, and I'm the good one. So, and I hate that. And I'm not going to quote her directly because it's not that important, but
Uncle Tom.
I I was literally going to say that. You're Uncle Tomming your generation, man. And we've seen that so often, too, in like the millennial crap where we saw like, oh, this millennial gets it. And literally it's just like this person doing like a vlog or something like that saying how crappy millennials are. So, okay, that was already annoying enough. But then it goes off the rails when...
Yeah, it wasn't too bad up to that, but it was a little bit, and they were kind of taking shots at their older coworkers saying, yeah, there's too many meetings and they don't know how to use technology. And one was like, yeah, my dad was like, I can't check my emails because my emails are at the office.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing.
So, okay, fine. But the reason why this is on the Fox in the Head segment is because the one guy on this panel, Chris Bedford, then said finally at the end of the episode, I noticed a shift. I mean, so I used to run a newsroom. You don't need to go to college to be a reporter. You really just, it is a trade. You need to work hard. But one of the things I, as an editor, need to do to be able to shape you is I need to be able to yell at you, make you work ridiculous hours, and your job is never over. In your 20s, your early 20s, that's what you need to be working on. You can no longer do that. People have feelings now. They get upset. They cry. They report you to corporate. I didn't even know we had HR. Apparently we did.
Yeah, this is the I want to harass everyone at my workplace.
Those women on that set with him should run immediately.
You need to be able to yell at people. No, I'm sorry. I am not a millennial. Like I said, I'm in my 40s. No one is yelling at me at work.
Absolutely not.
I am not standing for that. I am not your child. You are not yelling at me.
What a weird way about how the kids these days argue works. Oh, people have feelings nowadays. I can't scream at them while they're at work.
I can't berate them and harass them.
While they're making them work a 14-hour shift.
Right, and calling them at all hours. Your job is never over. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Why are we all so woke now? What is it? I just don't even understand.
And I think, too, this is also just this continuing attack on the new reality. The one thing we've gotten post-COVID that's been a positive for everyone is the working from home.
Yes, I completely agree. And realizing that a lot of the procedures and policies that were in place that people thought were good were stupid and unnecessary. I don't need to have a in-person meeting with somebody that, I mean, it's a trope for guys. It's like the whole thing that this could have been an email.
Right.
That's a joke that goes through all work environments at all age levels. Everyone knows about that. And to say that you can't work from home, even hybrid, is ludicrous.
And continuing on that, I just wanted to throw a little extra spice in this segment this week because there's been this 3D model that's been going around the internet of Anna, the remote worker of the future.
Okay, I'm reading this article and I just saw the first line. It's the hunchback of work from home.
And this is from a New York Post article. The New York Post, obviously very conservative, Rupert Murdoch-owned newspaper. And it says, researchers claim the human race could suffer a frightening de-evolution.
De-evolution?
Should we continue working from home? Which apparently includes sprouting gnarled troll hands and a hunchback in under 100 years.
100 years? Absolutely not.
Like the most punctuated evolution ever. And they cite as the evidence for this, remember, researchers claim, Anna, a 3D model created by UK furniture company, Furniture at Work, which is supposed to represent what we will look like by the year 2100 should we prolong this arrangement being working from home.
So I'm guessing this Furniture at Work is oh my God.
As I scroll down to show Anna the remote worker.
So I have to assume that this UK furniture company, the Furniture at Work, is an office-based furniture company.
Right.
And these researchers just did a marketing campaign.
Right, and it's worked. It's gone viral. I've seen it in a lot of different places.
Because conservatives are stupid!
And now the New York Post is pushing this as some kind of scientific fact.
Did you see, I mean, this isn't even related to this, but did you see there was another AI thing that was made that showed that Hobby Lobby had satanic stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And people lost their minds because they thought it was real?
It was supposedly Hobby Lobby selling Baphomet statues.
Yeah.
And it was this like giant, almost like life-size statue that was put in the, artificially placed in a Hobby Lobby store photo. And yeah, people somehow thought it was real. Like, no one's going to buy. How much is that, you think? $5,000? Who's going to buy that?
But this is the crap we keep talking about every single week, because it doesn't matter how stupid it is, for some damn reason, conservatives keep eating it up.
Yeah, they love propaganda, and it doesn't matter if it's real or not.
Oh, get that picture off the screen. Go away, Anna. Go away.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? It's hard to get any word in with this clown.
Before we get into the main topic of today, we're gonna give you the real truth. This is what they don't want you to know. I do have another prop. It's not audio-based, so you don't have to take your headphones off this time. But here we go.
Oh, yeah, I'm scared. Oh, good. He made us tinfoil hat. You can hear the crinkling.
Just for a second while you're getting it on. But yes, we now have tinfoil hats to discuss our main topic. I felt this was only appropriate.
I love you. Did such a good job with these hats.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's talk about this really good, because you, Jason, went down a rabbit hole.
Yes. So this is the first time I think an article has gone. We haven't had Fox in the Head for that long, but this was in Fox in the Head, and then it got moved to a headline, and then eventually moved to the main segment.
Got called to the big leagues, And we weren't even going to talk about this. Our main segment was supposed to be about welfare, which we'll talk about some other time.
Right.
But the more you looked into this, you kept telling me, like, nope, there's just more. I need to keep going.
Right. I think I've spent more time researching this story than I have any other story we've ever done.
Oh, no.
For the show.
So bad. No. So I did not. Because by the time I was even looking at the notes, there were so many pages of notes. I'm like, do you want me to add it? I don't know.
There wasn't much room.
Right. So I did my own research, Jason. We all have our own research.
Very
methods.
important, yeah.
I've been looking on Fox News, Newsmax. I even showed you the podcast right before this, and I think I got the gist of what's going on. Can I ask you to clarify, like, to make sure I get this right?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So for what I'm gathering from those sources, very credible, very fair and balanced sources, as of right now, all of the media, the mainstream media, is focusing all their attention on Donald Trump, which actually isn't that big of a deal. It should just be a slap on the wrist, even though he committed crimes, whatever.
He just kept some paperwork that was
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing to worry about. And we're not talking at all about these secret bribery tapes.
The organized crime family currently running the United States.
Correct. So, okay, so I'm so good so far. Mm-hmm. So as of right now, we have a guy who is a whistleblower from the FBI, and he has these tapes. And these tapes definitively show that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden have been taking money from Burisma in exchange for hush payments or for like protection things against
political favors,
other political favors from people. And that Chuck Grass is seeing these tapes, and they're there and they're definitive. And Joe Biden's going to face like a $10 million fraud charge or bribery charge. And it's going to be like the second Watergate.
Oh, way worse. Way worse.
Way worse than Watergate.
Yeah, the biggest scandal in American political history, just at all. This is the worst thing anyone has ever done. I don't understand why the entire Biden family is not in front of a firing squad right now.
Okay, so I'm pretty close.
Their dogs, the dogs, like everybody's involved in this.
Like we heard in the podcast right before this, if Trump goes to jail over this very minuscule, it doesn't matter thing,
paperwork
stuff, it's semantic stuff, right? If he goes to jail for that and Biden gets away with this, we are living in the current Soviet Union rule, very Maoist China rule, and we are...
It's the end of America.
It is the end of America. We are in a banana republic. We may not come out of this as a country anymore.
Right.
Is that correct?
We're probably not strong enough to survive this type of scandal.
Cool.
So what is that scandal? Well, let's give you the details. Let's see if the very accurate representation that, honestly, I am not kidding. That's why it was going to be on Fox in the Head initially. That what Joe just said, which sounds like the most hyperbole that anyone has ever uttered, is literally the way it's being presented in right-wing news circles. So I will give you the facts as far as I could tell, and I spent
that's going to back up what I said, though, right?
Researching this, and let's see if those two things match up.
Okay, I'm prepared to be red pilled. I'm ready. Let's go. We're going to become Republicans at the end of this.
So on Monday, June 12th, During remarks to the House floor, Representative Chuck Grassley of Iowa made reference to an FBI FD 1023 form generated from a statement made by a foreign national, which is allegedly a Burisma executive, claiming to have 17 audio tapes, 15 with Hunter Biden and 2 with Joe Biden, taking $10 million in bribes in exchange for political favors.
All right, we got him. That's it.
First note, this was directly after the announcement of the Trump indictment, a day before he was arraigned.
That's coincidence.
Grassley had made mention of this 6 weeks earlier when he and James Comer subpoenaed this 1023 form from the FBI. So they had been aware of it for some time, but for whatever reason, decided to make this speech and make a spectacle of the news right at that time, right on the day before Trump was arraigned for his charges in the document scandal.
He could have had reasons.
For some reason.
He could have. Chuck Grassley's like 93 years old. He just probably forgot. It's fine.
This is also exactly what Donald Trump was impeached for the first time when he was on that phone call with not a corporate executive, but the actual Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, and demanded that Ukraine launch an investigation against the Bidens, who he was running against for president, in exchange for defense funding that was already promised to Ukraine.
Perfect phone call, by the way.
Perfect phone call, no quid pro quo, except exactly that, but whatever. You may be asking yourself, what is an FD 1023 form?
I am. I have no idea what that is.
So we have this information directly from the FBI. FD 1023 is the form our special agents use to record raw, unverified reporting from confidential human sources.
Unverified reporting. So this is basically just claims that get recorded on this.
Right. FD, as it says here, FD 1023s merely document that information. They do not reflect the conclusions of investigators based on a fuller context or understanding. Recording this information does not validate it, establish its credibility, or weight it against other information known or developed by the FBI in our investigations. So it's literally just a claim made by someone who came forward to the FBI.
And it was written down.
Right.
Okay. So that claim could still have merit, though.
It could. Those are what further investigations are for.
It could. That sounds pretty smoking gun
definitive.
to me. Yeah.
Well, Republicans claim FBI Director Christopher Wray is withholding information from Congress to protect President Biden due to a political agenda, and they were attempting to hold him in contempt of Congress.
I remember this. Yeah. So like he wasn't going to do anything. He kept holding on it and stalling on it for like while Republicans were asking like, why can't we see this? Like, nope, you're not going to see this. And then they eventually had to
Right. We'll get into that entire timeline.
Yeah.
In a second.
But it was only until he was in contempt of Congress that he actually did it because they knew that they got him.
Right. And he's protecting his political friend, Joe Biden.
Correct.
The man he owes his career to.
Right. So this is the big cover.
But except that Christopher Wray was nominated to be the FBI director in 2017 by Donald Trump.
Semantics. I don't care.
The 1023 form in question, we're going to go over the history of it now, was generated in June of 2020 when Donald Trump was president and William Barr was attorney general.
So you're telling me the secret liberals at the FBI somehow thwarted the Trump administration
from doing anything with this information.
And maybe it was just because, Trump knew that attacking Biden this way would cause havoc and chaos for like the Republic. And we knew he was a fair guy. So we didn't want to do anything to upset the democracy of the country.
Right. Except that he'd been publicly stating that Joe Biden was corrupt and Burisma and Hunter Biden this entire time. But other than as long as you ignore that.
Okay, cool.
So
ignoring that.
So basically for 3 years,
nothing was done.
This went nowhere. But on May 3rd, 2023, now this is the Republicans are in control of the House. The U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Accountability issued a subpoena to the FBI requesting this FD 1023 form. And this is allegedly after Chuck Grassley had received a whistleblower complaint that the FBI was not doing anything with this information information that they had.
Got it.
On May 10th, so 1 week after they issued the subpoena, the Office of Congressional Affairs responded to the request and scheduled a meeting for May 15th to assess what information was needed and for what purpose.
Okay.
Then, on May 22nd, the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI's Directorate of Intelligence held a briefing with Oversight Committee staff, basically explaining what an FD 1023 form is, what the laws surrounding them are, and what information will and will not be provided.
So the Oversight Committee was basically told what we would just read or talked about earlier, that FD 1023 forms
Unverified information.
raw unverified
coming
information.
from confidential informants, so they want to keep not only the identity of the people that are coming forward secret, but also the methods that were used to collect that information.
Correct.
That needs to be protected. And that there are, it's not just, here you go, like there are rules and regulations and laws that surround this information. So basically just giving them an idea of what to expect.
Okay, because I remember hearing as well that there was a lot of outrage because this should easily not be classified, and this should be not only available to the Oversight Committee, but available to the public.
Right.
So you're saying that should not be the case.
According to the FBI and the laws that were written to protect this information, I'm not a big privacy guy as far as government documents are concerned, but maybe the identity and methods to collect confidential information probably shouldn't be public. Now, the information within, I'm fine with everybody knowing it, but I also don't run an intelligence agency. On May 31st, there were 2 phone calls made by FBI Director Wray with Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, Republican from Kentucky, and Ranking Member Jamie Raskin, Democrat from Maryland, stating that the document had been located and that a minimally redacted version of the document would be provided, as well as a briefing on that document. And he also gave them both briefings on the document at that time. And they both came away with completely different stories after this conversation.
Okay.
Whereas James Comer claims that, yes, this is smoking gun evidence of this crime that was committed, and we have a reliable first-hand account, airtight witness, whereas Jamie Raskin said that it was presented as a reliable witness that was reporting on things that he heard from other people and could not verify whether or not that information was reliable or not. So they come away with 2 completely different stories after they were both given a briefing by the same person. After talking to basically the 2 people that are the heads from their respective parties of the Oversight Committee, the briefing and minimally redacted version of the document, like we said, informant's name and the method that it was collected were withheld, were provided on June 5th to the House Oversight Committee. The committee members were not allowed to keep the document. It was provided as read and return.
All right.
That's basically what happened. And if
that sounds pretty crazy, man.
Again, what you hear from Chuck Grassley and James Comer is that the FBI was stonewalling them, wouldn't respond, not providing this document that should be readily available, never had any contact with them except for the 10 times in between when they first made the subpoena on May 3rd and June 12th when this speech was made by Chuck Grassley. Other than those 10 different contacts, they were just completely ignored by the liberal FBI, friend of the left wing, yes, protecting Joe Biden. As we all know, the FBI is a cudgel used by the liberals.
The liberal elites.
Right.
Yeah.
That may bring up a question. As we said, this information is really from 2020. Was there ever a further investigation done, right? It's unverified information. What was done previously?
Sure.
Well, under President Trump and AG William Barr, the FBI did investigate these claims.
Oh, okay. And they found all of the secret tapes?
They found all of the tapes, and they killed everyone involved.
Got it.
So according to Jamie Raskin, during the brief with Christopher Wray, he was told, and it was also reported by the New York Times and Washington Post, that then U.S. Attorney Scott Brady was assigned to the investigation, which was later closed in August of 2020, and the evidence collected did not meet the FBI standard for opening a preliminary or full full-scale investigation. And I found some information looking through, again, all of this document. I found a literal Freedom of Information document that came from the Justice Department.
Okay.
That confirmed that Scott Brady was assigned to look into any information coming out of Ukraine when Rudy Giuliani was running his investigation in 2019 and 2020, when he was peddling all of the Hunter Biden Burisma laptop theories.
Which we covered several years ago.
William Barr actually made an seemingly unprecedented move by setting up a pipeline directly for Rudy Giuliani's reports and anything coming out of Ukraine.
Oh, great.
And that was to go through Scott Brady. So the fact this does line up with what Jamie Raskin is saying, because he said it was Scott Brady who looked into this, so that would make sense. And I also found, and it's in these same documents, we'll link it, but Lindsey Graham, while on a live TV appearance, said that he was told by William Barr and Senate Intel Committee Chairman Richard Burr, a Republican from North Carolina, that information coming from Giuliani out of Ukraine was likely Russian propaganda and should not be trusted.
Perfect.
This is when Graham was being pushed on all of these conspiracy theories that were being floated by Rudy Giuliani at the time. What do you think about this? And even the Trump bootlicker, Lindsey Graham, was like, actually, people that know a lot more of what's going on in the Intelligence Committee and the intelligence community told me that this is probably all nonsense and that we should be really careful with any of this information.
Gotcha.
So, and this is all linked. This is all from the same timeline of when this document was created, when this information, literally, we knew Russia was funneling propaganda through Ukraine about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and Burisma. James Comer and William Barr dispute this and say that the investigation is still ongoing.
Oh, really?
With William Barr saying the information was forwarded to the U.S. Attorney's Delaware office for more investigation. And it's kind of true, but it's also kind of not.
Okay.
So the U.S. Attorney for Delaware is David Weiss, a Trump appointee who is working on a separate investigation into possible tax evasion. I've heard of this before, and gun charges against Hunter Biden, right? This came up a few, I think 2 years ago, maybe 1 year ago, where, Hunter Biden has all these tax problems, that he kept not paying his taxes and getting busted. And that was a story a while ago as well. So that's what this David Weiss is working on. He is in the Department of Justice. He was forwarded this, but as far as we can tell, Jamie Raskin is also telling the truth in that the FBI closed their investigation in 2020, basically saying that there was no basis here to follow up. They couldn't corroborate any of this information. It was not legit, essentially.
Okay.
So they're kind of both true in that, yes, the FBI closed their investigation, but also this information was forwarded to Delaware, to David Weiss, who is working on a separate investigation because apparently we really, really, really want to get Hunter Biden, which, fine, I don't care.
This is chaos.
So, and this is what I mean, looking into this, every step of the way, there was 5 different paths that this took. It was not a simple story that we could do in a headline.
Or
that's
Fox
why,
in the Head segment.
Right, and that makes it the perfect conspiracy theory because it is so complicated, because it takes so long to try to unravel everything. And the latest to come out of this line, the Raskin versus Comer dispute, is Jamie Raskin has since asked for the briefing documents that were provided to him and James Comer to be released to the full oversight committee. And that's basically him saying, well, look, if I'm wrong, let's just give these documents to everyone on the committee and we can see.
Right.
We can see who's telling the truth and who's lying. So,
which I'd also argue that I think that's a good move on Raskin's part, but at the same time, that's not going to matter.
right, we still won't be able to see it.
Well, not even just that, but we know that conspiracy theories don't rely on being debunked.
Right. So that's as far as we've gotten on the what was done with this.
Got it.
That still leaves the question, do these tapes actually exist?
Yes, I've heard that a lot. They definitely exist. They really exist. from a guy who exists.
So I will give you 3 quotes from all extremely conservative Republicans. We want to be fair and balanced here, right? No lying Democrats.
No, just all Republicans here.
All good old patriots.
This is the red pill hour, man. I'm
Freedom
ready.
fighters.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
From James Comer, the head of the Oversight Committee.
Oh, this would be perfect.
I can confirm that they were listed in the 1023 that the FBI redacted.
Done. Period. Let's go home. Put Biden in jail.
We don't know if they're legit or not, but we know the foreign national claims he has them.
Okay.
Now, Jim Jordan, the person who looked the other way during massive sexual abuse going on at the college that he worked at.
This guy knows
Stand-up
cover-ups.
guy. Yes, he understands covering up information that you wish didn't happen. We don't know for sure if these tapes exist.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. That cleared it up. And now we'll go to someone we hold dear. Our own senator from the state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Guy loves conspiracies. This should be, he was all in on the election stuff. He tried to give the list of the fake Wisconsin electors to Vice President Mike Pence.
Kept doing the hydroxychloroquine stuff back during the pandemic.
Right, so he should know what's going on here. He should know.
Said climate change is just overstated.
That the January 6th was just tourism. From Ron Johnson. We don't know really if the tapes exist. We just don't know that. Whether this was just a bluff on the part of whoever the executive was. I think it was Mykola Zlochevsky, the CEO of the corrupt oligarch. He kind of forgot what Burisma was for a second.
The CEO of the corrupt oligarch?
Right. I think he was like the CEO of and he wanted to say Burisma, but either couldn't think of it or whatever.
It's
and then
that
just
guy.
Fell back on the corrupt oligarch. He's also said that James Comer never said the tapes exist. He's also said that we should take this with a pinch of salt.
Not even just a grain, a full pinch, huh?
Right. So I know that's the best you got from straight from the mouths of the people that are fighting the hardest for this theory is that, we don't know if those tapes exist. They'll tell you publicly that the FBI is covering up the tapes. But when specifically pressed on if the tapes exist or not, well, we don't know.
Great.
Well, who is the informant then, right? Yes. Obviously, Ron Johnson thinks it is the Burisma CEO, Mykola Zlochevsky. But unfortunately, during the Ukraine trip from Rudy Giuliani, he gave a series of questions to Zlochevsky. And those questions were given to the House Intelligence Committee by Lev Parnas, who is a criminal, essentially, working with Rudy Giuliani. And when he was busted and charged with fraud and all sorts of financial crimes, he basically gave up this information to try to get a lesser sentence. I think he ended up being sentenced for 20 months. So it didn't work great, but I think they were looking at 6 years initially. So he basically gave up this information, which came directly from Rudy Giuliani's work, I guess, in Ukraine. And
okay.
So it's a report from Politico, because I don't have access to those documents directly, that Zlochevsky was asked by Giuliani to detail any contacts he had with Joe Biden from 2013 to 2019, and whether Hunter Biden ever facilitated any meetings with Zlochevsky. He responded, "No one from Burisma ever had any contacts with VP Biden or people working with him during Hunter Biden's engagement." So I think that might throw some water on the Zlochevsky is this whistleblower that, wants to come forward.
Sure.
He has stated that that's not the case.
Okay.
But Ron Johnson is not a smart person, so
we should have assumed that that was not correct.
That he was not going to be the
You know what? And I did assume, and I apologize for that. I shouldn't assume again.
So who else might know? Well, when he spoke to Newsmax on Saturday, Giuliani claimed that the person that told him about the bribery scheme was dead.
They're dead. Okay, so this is another layer.
And I think, and this is the headline, and I think this is a misunderstanding of what Rudy Giuliani said. And I'll show you.
Okay.
Based on what Giuliani actually said.
Okay.
Because here's his quote. This is the entire conversation he had on Newsmax as pertaining to this person. "I did tell them 3 years ago, and they followed up on none of the evidence I gave them." And I'm not doing a Rudy Giuliani voice because we are recording this kind of early on a Sunday, and I'm not going to drink that much right now. They followed up on none of the evidence I gave them. They were hoping that the people would just disappear or die.
They, as in the FBI, I'm guessing?
The government, yeah, the Department of Justice, which, I mean, this was Trump's administration that he was dealing with. But
so, like,
whatever.
Tucker Carlson's they.
Right,
they.
the deep state.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. I gave them one witness that any investigator would jump through hoops to get to. Gave them a witness who was a woman. She was she was the chief accountant at this crooked company, Burisma.
Okay.
She was the wife of the former owner who died under suspicious circumstances.
So the former owner.
The former owner died under suspicious circumstances, and I think this is being misinterpreted. But
now we that's some details. We now know that it's a woman, and it's the wife of this former owner who is also the chief accountant at Burisma.
And she was willing to give up all of the offshore bank accounts, including the Bidens.
Okay.
And then he just says that she moved a lot of money around, and then they kind of move into a different line of questioning after that. So there's no more talk about this woman, right? This is the full quote. And he said that she was the wife of the former owner who died under suspicious circumstances. And I think that is being misinterpreted as saying that she died, but he never actually says that. The former owner in question would likely be Burisma co-founder Mikola Lyson. Apparently a lot of Mikolas around.
Okay.
Who the suspicious circumstances were he died in a car accident in 2011, which would be before Hunter Biden joined the Burisma board and before Joe Biden ever visited Ukraine.
Okay.
So
who's the wife then?
Well, right-wing news outlets, including Sean Hannity, which that article has since been deleted, but you can see the headline that they had up there. It's still cached, but the article itself is gone, are reporting that Lisson's wife was found dead. And that's being pushed to like, oh, Biden must have killed her.
Okay.
It's everywhere. You can find it all over the place. Accountant at Burisma, whistleblower, found dead. It's all over the internet. You can search for it. I have one of the headlines listed here. But there are no details. And they don't even know her name. It's never, in any of these articles, videos, anything I looked at, they never say her name.
Okay.
They say wife of former Burisma founder found dead, whistleblower found dead, but they don't know who she is. I can't find out what her name is. It's nowhere that I can find.
My mind is blowing right now. So you're telling me
they're reporting that this person is dead. Like it just happened.
Right. So you're telling me, I'm trying to get this straight here, that right-wing news outlets, including Fox News, heard Giuliani say this.
I don't want to say Fox News. It was Sean Hannity's own website.
Okay. Sean Hannity and other stupid conservatives, Republicans, they heard Giuliani say this, and kind of like what you said, they probably misinterpreted what he said, and then basically just said, okay, so then they must have died really recently.
Right, and under suspicious circumstances, and she was the whistleblower. They're taking all of this, what Giuliani said, as fact, and reporting it, because they all point to the Giuliani interview as evidence. But
so that's the Giuliani interview.
I read the whole thing, and he never said that she was dead, just that her husband died. But yet this is being pushed onto this conspiracy theory as more evidence of this cover-up, because they murdered this whistleblower. And we don't know her name or how she died, when she died, where she died, nothing. But Giuliani said died under suspicious circumstances. He wasn't talking about her, but oops.
Oh man, my head hurts. Oh boy. Okay.
So we don't know anything.
Does the miscommunication from the right wing outlets, is that then now part of the conspiracy where So now the right wing outlets,
right? The whistleblower was found dead.
Right, but then are the right wing outlets a part of the conspiracy now because they got it wrong? They spread misinformation.
No, they got it right.
They got it right.
Yeah, that's all of this. They decoded the secret language that Rudy Giuliani was using.
Oh, okay.
In that interview,
got it.
So they're doing the correct reporting.
Okay, I thought
Hannity, obviously a coward, he doesn't want to be targeted by the deep state.
Got it. Okay.
But so at the end of the day, after all of this research, after all, you just listened to me talk for 40 minutes. What do we have? What is the evidence of any of this?
So, let me see if I can get this right. We have a form from the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
The form on it says that somebody who we don't know said that they have 17 tapes tapes of bribery.
Or possibly that they heard someone say, if you go with the Raskin account,
Sure.
that it was actually secondhand information and not the person coming forward saying that they have the tapes, but someone saying that they heard someone said they have these tapes.
Even then. So it's a claim about a claim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we have a whole report based on this claim.
As fact. Reporting as fact.
And we have multiple cover-ups coming from different administrations within the U.S.
Right. All the deep state persists.
Cover-ups throughout Ukraine
Mm-hmm. People being murdered.
to protect the secrecy of these tapes, which we only know are just a claim.
And no one knows if they actually exist.
You know what this sounds
And no one knows who this person is.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like that one story we covered, was it last week? With like the UFO conspiracy?
Right. The person that claimed that all of this evidence exists. They don't have it, but they've seen it.
This is bizarre, dude.
Yes. And this is what is dominating right-wing news outlets at the moment. So what are our takeaways? After all this, let's take off the tinfoil hats. And what do I honestly think about this? I think this is all a conspiracy that was started by Rudy Giuliani in 2020. I think this all came from his attempts to dig up this dirt. They were questioning Burisma executives. They weren't getting the answers that they wanted. So they were basically going out to anyone. Provide evidence of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's corruption, and we will pay you money.
And we know that because that's exactly what Rudy Giuliani did with the laptop story.
Correct.
Where he tried to like fish it around and it was being denied everywhere until the New York Post ran with it.
And we also know that Russian intelligence agents took advantage of this and were feeding disinformation to Rudy Giuliani and the people working with him in Ukraine.
Cool.
So I think that's what this is a remnant of that is now being pushed because Donald Trump is under all of these indictments and they're looking for some way to try to deflect from that.
So you're saying the conspiracy is actually that there's a conspiracy of people to make a conspiracy about Joe Biden to cover up the conspiracy about Donald Trump. That's no longer a conspiracy theory because it's been shown through the indictments.
Double secret probation. So it's my hope, and I don't know if you can make sense of all of that rambling, but it's my hope.
Dude, I didn't.
That you now have some information to use against conservatives who are pushing the story as proof that the deep state is running the government and that we're really in communist, Maoist China, Soviet Iron Curtain era where we are jailing our political rivals and getting bribes to, I don't know, something political favors. That's the other thing. There's really no, what did Burisma get out of this $10 million? Like, it's all just like, well, for policies favorable to them. Okay, point to which policy you're talking about. What changed in American foreign policy to Ukraine?
But Jason, Biden was stupid enough to say that he was withholding aid on videotape at that conference, unless they fired the prosecutor guy.
The corrupt prosecutor. Sure.
Well, you know what? Screw you two, all right, Jason? I'm trying to do my best to uncover the truth, all right?
Yeah, you're
I'm a journalist, okay? I'm a researcher, just like the furniture company. I'm just asking questions, Jason.
And I think this is all being done to deflect from the very real crimes with very real evidence, including actual audio recordings which actually exist, showing Donald Trump knowingly kept classified documents that he was not authorized to possess and hid them from government officials and continues to.
Yep, cool. So now we're on the whole, we're going to make an entire conspiracy theory to defend Trump's crimes stage of this whole thing, huh?
Well, I don't think they created the conspiracy theory. They just kind of found it sitting there from 2020.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jason. Thank you for...
And I'm sorry, everyone.
Going down
you
this
had to
rabbit
listen
hole.
to that.
You made it through. Do you feel better?
No. I feel like I wasted a lot of time, and now I've wasted all of yours as well.
Happy Father's Day, everyone.
Happy Juneteenth.
Thank you for listening. We hope to see you in the next episode. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at ThinkProPod. You can email us at thinkpropod@gmail.com. And remember, when in doubt, think progressively.
did not meet the FBI standard for opening a preliminary or